I'm going to start by introducing the panelists. Nivea Castro to the left of me. JD is a writer, photographer, social justice attorney, and educator, 3 times VONA alum. Her poems and writings have been published in numerous journals and anthologies, most recently in Asterix, journal where her Cuba photographs were highlighted, and then and Vox Mom. She's also the curator and editor of Lammy finalist Sinister Wisdom, Out Latina Lesbians, which I'm a part of, and
That's
everyone,
right.
Is everyone? Gabby?
No.
And Meriam.
She didn't know. What I do?
It was published in 2015, and Nivea has curated and been featured at various venues, including NYC and Brooklyn Lit Crawl, Listen to Your Mother, a national series of live readings by local writers, Crack the Mic, Soul Sister Review, Badass Women Festival, La Pluma, y Tinta, New Voices Reading Series, Canvas of Words, QT Rainbows Across the Diaspora, A Decent Place, and Mitchfest. She lives in Brooklyn and now the Bronx, and is available for photo shoots and events. You may reach her on Facebook or by email, niv@niveacastro.com. And Gabby Rivera is a writer, youth mentor, and editor of QTPOC content for autostraddle.com. Her first novel, Juliet Takes a Breath, was published by Riverdale Avenue Books in January 2016. Her short stories and poems have been published in various anthologies and journals such as Asterix, and the Lambda Award-winning Portland Queer Tales from the Rose City. Oh My God, I'm Gay, Resigned for Free Youth. Oh My God, I'm Gay. And the best of Panic and Vivo Community. Gabby is the youth programs manager at GLSEN. She has worked as a film and multimedia teaching artist for social justice orgs such as DreamYard Project, Inc. She's been featured panelist and counselor at the annual Auto Straddles Queer Women's Conference and has presented at the Allied Media and Digital Media Learning Conferences. Yay, Gabby. And our last finalist, Meriam, she'll be running it. I'm going to read her bio. Is an activist, writer, poet, performer, humanitarian, and self-proclaimed revolution. Rodriguez is the author of the independently published book, Adelina's Perfect Girl, a rare story of young, raw, gut-wrenching, blinding love. This coming-of-age novel takes place in the gritty streets of New York City. At the dawn of the 21st century, she's working on edits for When She Was My King, the follow-up to her debut novel, and on the blueprint for her third work titled La Curandera. Rodriguez has performed at state and city colleges throughout the country with Latino-flavored productions in the plays Jose Can Speak and Pink, The Chronicles of B.C. Jenny. She was a co-writer, co-producer, and one of 5 performers in the highly successful production of Soledad Speaks. And these are our panelists. So can we give them a hand, please? Yay.
Where is she?
So we're just going to start. So this morning, I was thinking about just the basic questions that we're asked as writers. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what do you write? Who do you write for? Why does it matter? And how did you break in?
I feel like I know that I'm about social justice, and I'm very, very staunch about very early on having been part of the LGBT movement, and specifically, I write about myself, lesbians, of colors, Latina, and then it goes, it opens up to, other Latinos, other gay people, gay men, but for me, it's like I feel like I write about social justice. I write through my anger. About injustice in the world. And every once in a while, I write about love. So what do I write? Every once in a while. Because I feel there's a lot of love there, but what's really is coming up, I mean, people write love, and I do love to do some erotica, which Yes. But really, the core of what I write about is social justice within what I know in my community. That's what I write about. Do you want to take it from there?
I'm Gabby. I kind of write about everything, anything. For a long time, I was writing, and I still write for Autostraddle, so I would write like humor pieces, like stuff about celebrity culture, lesbian culture, like interracial dating, love, all that stuff. I was queer and Latina, but places like Autostraddle didn't expect me to write just from those types of like identities and experiences, which was like super freeing. and lovely, because then you're able to write about like all the things that make you weird and funny and like a whole human being. And when it comes to the book Juliet Takes a Breath, that is kind of like totally me getting into where I came from, what it was like being queer and in the Bronx, what it's like dealing with like white hippies and white feminism, and like doing all this in a way where it's still like is political, still super funny, and like goofy. So I think that's like what I write about. Who I write for, anybody with like a sense of humor and people that are like starting their journeys, right? So I think a lot of times, depending on where we come from and our identities, like queer, Latina, white, gay, whatever, you're expected to have a certain level of like foundational knowledge, right? To like make it into your group and to be considered like an official member of the group. So are you Puerto Rican enough? Are you black enough? Are you gay enough? Are you like politically aware enough? Are you really about social justice, or do you like just posting things on Facebook? You know, like there's this expectation that you have to be at a certain level, otherwise you're not good enough. And so I think I write for the people that are in the beginning of those journeys, that have a lot of questions, that are messy, that are complicated, confused, and to like say basically like that's okay. You know, we're all at different levels of our personal evolution. So, yeah.
I like that you write for people at the beginning of, and help them understand. It's like educating.
Yeah, for sure.
Where I'm at a place where it's not so much education, but basically just, putting out maybe dictates, or it's also education, but it's also, I write for us. Basically, I write for my audience is the choir. So, and if somebody else wants to come in and maybe understand it, that's good. So I like how we do this.
Welcome, Meriam.
Hi,
Yeah.
my apologies, everyone. I write, essentially, I think because of the same reasons we all write. We have to. There are these emotions that we're trying to make sense of. I agree with what she said. It's messy, and I think it's always messy. When I look back on 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I think I'm just as messy, just in a more mature way, with bills and stuff. What were the other questions? I'm sorry, I'm still trying.
Who do you write for? Why does it matter?
Who do I write for? Wow. I don't even know, to be honest. I think that's the most honest answer. I don't know who I write for. I just write and trust that whoever the story is going to resonate with, it will. Because you are surprised when it does. And the most oddball situations attract people to you and say, wow, me too. And you would never think that maybe passing them on the street, ever. So,
I'd like for you to share some of your
okay. You want to go first? No, go first. Okay. Hold on. Babe, do you remember what page you was on? So I'm reading from my first independently published novel, Adelina's Perfect Girl. It is a coming-of-age story. It's based on my personal evolution when I first started going out into the world and up horribly. And just like, wow, how did I get myself into this? She was at the beginning of her evolution. This character is based on a lot of what I went through. And this is where she started to experience her rapid downward spiral into oblivion, and it caught momentum, and it got way ahead of what she was or thought she was in control of. So when Mommy saw me, she flew off the handle, breaking things all over the house, cursing and screaming, kicking me out. I listened to her barrage of insults and threats with no other choice, each one shredding a different part of my already wounded spirit. By the time Papi made it to the kitchen, she was in all-out war mode. There was no stopping her. She even blamed him for the way I was, for what I had become. You're too soft with her, and you never take my side. Now look at her. Quiere ser un macho. She wants to be a man. She screamed, grabbing dishes and slamming it on the ground, grabbing a dish and slamming it on the ground. The salt from my tears burned my worn-out eyes. I said nothing to either one of them as I backed out of the house through the front gate and lay down in the middle of the road, hoping for a car to speed through and not notice me until it was too late. I felt at complete peace with letting that be the end of my life. I fell into a deep sleep right where I was. When I opened my eyes, there were police officers and EMT workers surrounding me. I hear mommy crying for them to leave me alone. Papi was being asked a series of questions. I tried to sit up, but I realized I was strapped to a chair and handcuffed. Ma, what's happening? She looked at me teary-eyed, but wasn't able to speak through her sobbing. Papi, sorry. I don't know where it goes from here. That would be the end of that. Essentially, she was being taken away and admitted to a psychiatric facility for high-level drug use, high-level heartbreak, and a series of other messy. Thank you.
I didn't bring my book. I edited an issue of Sinister Wisdom, which is a lesbian literary journal, on its 40th year. I was issued 97, and in it we had a call for submission, and I say over 100 women basically submitted, and I was looking for specifically Latina lesbian who are out in the world as lesbians, voices. And Alicia is one of the contributors, and actually she reviewed this book. We wanted a book review, and we just thought it was just perfect because you had published it like a year or two before. I had the fortune of interviewing Tatiana de la Tierra, who early on had been an editor. She's a publisher, Latina out lesbian, and she passed away. So about 6 weeks before she passed away, she and I had been friends, and I am continuously working on different projects, and this is one of the projects I was working on, interviewing Latina lesbians over 50, basically going through, doing their autobiography. And I asked her if she would be willing to be interviewed. And she said, yeah. So we figured, hey, one of these days when we're together, this and that and the other. And she called me back in April 2012 and said, cancer spread. You need to, I said, I want to come out and see you. She said, bring your equipment, interview me. So we spent some time together, and I'm also a photographer, so it's like, let me photograph you. And she says, wait. And she made her way out of her bed with a lot of pain, went into her bathroom. When she came up, she was all made up, and got back into bed, laid down, and said, now you can photograph me. And she just talked for 3 hours, and that's part of the interview. So the book itself, I mean, the anthology itself is very dear to me. It's a labor of love, and it's actually doing really well. I mean, we've been able to do some panels. It's been selling really well, and I understand from several universities that it's being used in classrooms now. You mentioned cuentos, and there was this Bridge Called My Back, and it's being compared to those books.
That's great. So
I'm very pleased with it, and I don't have a copy with me. I'm sorry. So
this is my first book, Juliet Takes a Breath, published by Riverdale Avenue Books. It's just like a goofy little story about a little chubby brown Latina from the Bronx coming out and going on a summer adventure. So I'll just read the beginning part for y'all. You should buy it. It's upstairs. You should buy it on Amazon, too. You should buy 3 for yourself, a friend, a stranger. And also, she's a book nerd. So, a book nerd. Dear Harlow, hi, my name is Juliet Pallante. I've been reading your book, Raging Flower, Empowering Your Pussy by Empowering Your Mind. And no lie, I started reading it so that I could make people uncomfortable on the subway. I especially enjoyed whipping it out during impromptu sermons given by old sour-faced men on the number 2 train. It amused me to watch men confront the word pussy in a context outside of their control. You know, like in bright pink letters on the cover of some girl's paperback. My grandma calls me la sinvergüenza, the one without shame. She's right. I'm always in it for the laughs. But now I'm writing to you because this book of yours, this magical labia manifesto, has become my Bible. It's definitely a reading from the book of white lady feminism, and yet there are moments where I see my round brown ass in your words. I wanted more of that, Harlow, more representation, more acknowledgement, more room to breathe the same air as you. We are all women. We are all of the womb. It is in that essence of the moon that we share sisterhood. That's you. You wrote that, and I highlighted it, wondering if that was true. Because, like, if you don't know my life and my struggle, can we really be sisters? Can a badass white lady like you make room for me? Should I stand next to you and take that space, or do I just need to push you out of the way? Should I claim this space now, myself, and maybe one day we'll be able to share this earth, this block, this deep breath? I hope it's okay that I say this to you. I don't mean any disrespect, but if you can question the patriarchy, then I can question you. I think. I mean, I don't really know how this feminism stuff works anyway. I mean, I only took one women's studies class, and that was because there was a cute girl on my floor, and she signed up for it. And so she made me lose my train of thought, and I wanted to watch her eat strawberries and make her a mixtape. And so I took the class, and then she became my girlfriend, but please don't ask me anything about what happened in the class, because love is an acid trip. Feminism, I'm new to it. The word still sounds weird and wrong. Too white, too structured, too foreign, something I can't claim. I wish there was another word for it. Maybe I need to make one up. See, like, my mom's totally a feminist, but she never uses that word. She still molds my little brother's eggs into Ninja Turtles, and she pays all the bills, and she never sleeps. She's working on a master's degree while raising us, and pretty much she balances the rhythm of an entire family on her shoulders. That's a feminist, right? But my mom still irons my dad's socks. So what do you call that woman, you know, besides mom? I'm gonna stop there. Yeah, you should.